Reddit. Buckle up, because this is the story of how I turned the tables on my ex after he tried to ruin my life. I've never posted something this personal before, but if it helps even one other woman out there, it'll be worth it. I'm Amy Morales. I'm 32. By day, I'm a marketing manager at a mid-sized firm. By night, well, these days I'm a little more careful online than I used to be. You'll see why. 6 months ago, I broke up with my boyfriend, Josh. We'd been together for 3 years. He was charming in that way the worst men often are: flowers on your birthday, sweet with your mom, always ready to cook dinner when you're exhausted. For the first year, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. By year 2, the cracks showed. Josh had this thing about privacy, or rather, my lack of it. He'd ask for my phone passcode in case of an emergency. Then he started checking my messages when I was in the shower. I caught him once, and he gaslit me so hard I almost apologized to him. I know. Red flags, waving like a damn parade. The final straw came after I got promoted. I was so proud, director level at 32 in a competitive industry. Josh's reaction? Jealous sulking and accusing me of flirting with my boss to get ahead. It escalated to him screaming at me, calling me a and a waving my phone around because he'd found an old text from a male coworker congratulating me. I ended it that night. Packed a bag, stayed with my friend just for a week, then found my own apartment. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Josh didn't take the breakup well. He sent the usual late night, "we can still fix this" texts, which turned into "you'll regret this" messages. I ignored them. Blocked him on everything. Changed my number. He even showed up at my office once with a stupid bouquet of gas station flowers. Security escorted him out. Here's the thing about men like Josh: when they realize they can't control you anymore, they burn the whole house down. 2 weeks after the breakup, I was having a rare good day. Jess and I had brunch, I got my nails done, and I was curled up watching trashy reality TV when my phone buzzed. It was a text from my coworker, Mia. "Amy, is this you?" Attached was a screenshot from some grimy adult forum. There were my photos. The ones I'd trusted Josh with, back when I believed he was someone worth trusting. Alongside them, my full name, my city, and my workplace. My heart stopped. My blood ran cold. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the screen for a solid minute before my brain caught up. This wasn't just a personal attack, it was an attempt to destroy my entire life. I knew it had to be him. No one else had those photos. No one else hated me enough to do this. I sat there shaking, the bile rising in my throat, trying to figure out what to do next. The police? A lawyer? I had no idea. I just knew this was war now, and I wasn't going to lose. I barely slept that night. I kept staring at the screenshot Mia had sent, refreshing the page every 5 minutes to see if the post had been taken down, or worse, spread further. My photos were there. The same ones I'd sent Josh when I was stupidly in love, thinking we had something real. And now they were online for every perv in the world to ogle. With my full name, my city, and my workplace attached. The trifecta of a perfect doxing. I couldn't stop shaking. I felt like I'd been stripped naked in the middle of Times Square. I kept hearing my heart pounding in my ears, my skin crawling with this sick, helpless feeling. The worst part? The forum was thriving. The post already had dozens of comments from faceless accounts saying gross, predatory things about me. I'll spare you the details, but it was worse than anything I could have imagined. Josh had written a little bio about me too, just to twist the knife. "This is Amy Morales. She pretends to be a sweet little marketing professional, but she's really a lying slut who cheated on me. Thought she could use me and walk away clean. Enjoy, boys." I almost threw up. I called Mia in full panic mode. She told me to document everything and not engage. That I'd need proof if I wanted any hope of stopping it legally. She also said, quietly, that there were already people from work talking about it. And that's when the second gut punch hit. This wasn't staying confined to some corner of the internet. Josh had emailed the photos anonymously to HR at my company. I know this because my boss, Simon, called me into his office the next morning with this uncomfortable, pained look on his face. He shut the door and said, "Amy, we need to talk about something that's come to our attention." I couldn't breathe. He showed me the email, a burner account, with a snide message about my behavior and the attached photos. I broke down crying right there. I told him what had happened, the whole story. To his credit, Simon believed me. But he also said the company would need to investigate and that the situation had already caused some discomfort among clients. Discomfort. That word still makes me want to scream. I went home that afternoon and collapsed in bed. The internet kept buzzing, my LinkedIn was getting nasty messages, my Instagram DMs were flooded with trolls, and even my work email was getting anonymous harassment. I filed a police report the next day. The officer was sympathetic, but also frustratingly realistic. "Unless you can prove this guy posted it," he said, "and unless he was dumb enough to do it without a VPN or burner account, it'll be hard to prosecute." Great. Just great. I felt trapped. Alone. Furious. I wanted to scream from the rooftops that I wasn't the villain here, but it felt like everyone had already read the story Josh wrote about me. That night, I lay awake thinking of all the ways I could fight back. And slowly, a single cold thought formed. If he thinks he can ruin me anonymously, I'll show him what being exposed really feels like. I wish I could tell you that after filing that police report, things got better. They didn't. Overnight, my life became a weird, twisted sideshow. I was walking around the office like some walking scandal no one wanted to make eye contact with. It was like high school gossip on steroids, except this time, it could cost me my career. I knew people had seen the photos. You can always tell. The way conversations stopped when I entered the room. The way certain coworkers wouldn't meet my eyes, while others gave me that forced, pitying smile. Then there were the whispers. I overheard two girls in the kitchen. I heard she sent them to a client. Total career suicide. Well, you never really know people. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab them and say, "You're reading a story written by a bitter little man who can't handle rejection." But what would that accomplish? The damage was done. Even worse, clients started acting strange. A longtime partner I'd worked with for years suddenly asked to have another manager take over their account. No explanation. Just a polite, professional knife to the gut. I kept coming in, trying to hold my head high. But every email notification, every phone call, every glance made my stomach twist with dread. It was suffocating. Then HR called me in for a professional conversation. Those are the words they used. Professional. Conversation. Simon was there, along with one of the HR reps, Jessica, who always wore these blindingly cheerful scarves that made her seem like an alien in a room full of humans. Jessica gave me the company line. "We understand you're going through a difficult personal situation. We want to support you. However, given the visibility of this issue, we think it may be best for you to take some unpaid leave while things settle down." I just sat there, stunned. Unpaid leave. While he got to live his life without consequence. I wanted to fight it, but my voice came out small and brittle. I nodded. What choice did I have? I couldn't be productive under a microscope, not with my personal life splattered across the internet like some cautionary tale. I packed up my things that afternoon, trying not to cry. Jess picked me up from work and let me ugly sob in her passenger seat for 20 minutes straight. She kept saying the same thing over and over. "We'll fix this, Amy. You're not going to let that little feral win." Somewhere in the middle of that mess of tears and fury, something hardened inside me. She was right. Josh thought he'd broken me, thought he could reduce me to some scandal to be whispered about and cast aside. But I wasn't going to let him. I wasn't a victim. I was about to become his worst nightmare. The first thing I did after that humiliating HR meeting was go straight to the police, again. I was done waiting around. I wanted this documented. I wanted every possible avenue explored, no matter how slim the chance of justice felt. I sat across from a young detective in a cramped little office that smelled like burnt coffee and old printer toner. I laid it all out, the screenshots, the email to my company, the forum post. I had a thumb drive full of evidence and a heart full of righteous fury. He listened politely, occasionally jotting notes. When I finished, he let out a little sigh and leaned back. "I'm really sorry this happened to you, ma'am. It's disgusting. You did the right thing coming in." I held my breath, waiting. And there it was, unless we can directly tie this account to your ex, it's going to be difficult. Revenge porn laws here in Texas do exist, but they're not as strong as they should be. If he used a VPN or a burner device, tracing him will take time, and even then, we might hit a dead end. I just stared at him. "So you're saying he could get away with this?" "I'm saying it's an uphill battle. Not impossible, but hard." I thanked him, took my thumb drive back, and walked out of that office feeling like the ground had dropped out beneath me. You know that moment in a movie when the hero's back is completely against the wall? That's where I was. I had the rage, the evidence, and the will, but no clear path forward. And while I was spinning my wheels, Josh was probably smirking to himself somewhere, thinking he'd won. When I got home, I started researching. Deep dives into forums about digital privacy, cyberstalking, revenge porn laws. The legal landscape was a patchwork mess. One state would have decent protections, another barely enforced anything. In Texas, revenge porn is a criminal offense under Section 21.16 of the Penal Code. Great in theory. But the detective was right. Without hard proof that Josh was behind the post, they wouldn't pursue it aggressively. VPNs, burner phones, anonymous accounts, they gave him cover. He'd done this before. He knew the system was built to protect people like him. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and my phone buzzing uselessly beside me. Jess came over and found me like that, surrounded by empty coffee mugs and legal articles. "You can't let this eat you alive," she said gently. "I'm not going to," I told her. My voice surprised even me, low, cold, steady. "If the system won't catch him, I will." I didn't know how yet. I didn't know when. But right then, something inside me flipped like a switch. I stopped thinking like a victim. I started thinking like a hunter. They say when you stare into the abyss stares back. Well, I was done being afraid of it. I pulled up that disgusting forum, the one where Josh had posted my photos, and I started watching. I didn't post. I didn't interact. I just observed. For hours. For days. At first, it made me sick. You wouldn't believe the depravity in those threads. Dozens of men gleefully swapping photos of their exes, complete with personal info, maps, phone numbers, whatever they could get their grubby hands on. It wasn't just revenge porn. It was a weaponization of the internet, designed to break people. And in the middle of it all was him. I recognized Josh almost immediately. He wasn't using his real name, obviously, but his alias had all the subtlety of a frat boy with a megaphone. Same writing style. Same casual misogyny. Same smug tone. He even used certain phrases he used to say around me, stupid in-jokes he probably thought no one would catch. His username was active constantly, posting in multiple threads. Not just mine. I discovered, with growing horror, that he'd done this before. Other women. Other lives wrecked. And the worst part? He was bragging about it. Stupid think they can walk away. Let them see what happens. Got another one today. Boss emailed her already. El Mayo. VPN's bulletproof. They can't touch me. That last one caught my eye. VPN. I started taking screenshots of everything. Posts. Timestamps. His writing style. The little slip-ups he made when he was high on the attention. But it wasn't until about a weekend that I got my first real break. Josh posted a new brag thread, this time with a photo attached not of me, thank God, but of his setup. His war room, he called it. Keyboard, monitors, VPN client open on one screen. And in the corner of the shot, just barely visible, a reflection. A tiny sliver of a familiar living room. My stomach dropped. I knew that couch. I had sat on that couch. It was in Josh's apartment. That idiot had posted a photo with evidence of his own location, his own furniture, in the background. I felt something cold and sharp flicker through me. Hope. Because suddenly, this wasn't anonymous anymore. I stayed on the forum, watching him. He was cocky, careless. The longer he thought he was untouchable, the more mistakes he made. He posted about what VPN he used. Mentioned he lived in Austin. Made little references that only someone local would understand. Bit by bit, I was building a digital profile of him. A thread I could pull on. The hunter in me was wide awake now. The fear had burned away, replaced with a slow, simmering rage. Josh wanted to humiliate me? Ruin my career? Destroy my life? Fine. I was going to burn down his little kingdom, brick by brick. And he wasn't going to see it coming. There's a certain point where fear burns away and leaves only resolve. That's where I was. Josh thought he could hide behind usernames and VPNs, thought I'd curl up in shame while he strutted around his sick little forum. No. I was going to take him down, but to do that, I needed access. Real access. I needed to become someone they'd trust. So I built a new identity. Not a cheap throwaway account. An entire persona. Her name was Cassie K. Cassie was a bored young woman who loved attention and hated her exes. I crafted her backstory carefully. First post? A rant about an imaginary cheating boyfriend who deserved what was coming. It worked. Fast. The wolves came sniffing almost immediately. Comments flooded in. DMs followed. And slowly, I started responding, carefully mirroring their tone. The forum had a distinct culture, all smug superiority and faux camaraderie. I studied their slang, their writing style, even the memes they used. Cassie K became a regular. At first, it made my skin crawl to play along. Pretending to laugh at their disgusting jokes, pretending to admire their skills. I'd step away from the keyboard sometimes, hands shaking, nauseated by the words I had to type. But I reminded myself, this isn't about you. This is about winning. And it worked. I gained credibility. Josh's alias, let's call him Iron Fist 82, started interacting with me directly. He didn't know it, of course. But he was practically feeding me the rope to hang him with. Welcome to the club, Cassie, he wrote once. Nice to see another one who gets it. You should have seen what I did to my last ex, got her fired. Ruined her. Feels good. I played along, casually asking questions. How he protected himself. What tools he used. Where he learned his methods. Josh, being the arrogant piece of stun he is, loved to brag. He boasted about his VPN client, the anonymous email accounts he used, how bulletproof he was. He even posted another picture. This time it was a shot of his monitor, with a window open showing email drafts ready to send to a new victim's job. And again, he slipped. A corner of his desk was visible, same desk I'd bought him for his birthday 2 years ago. I knew the model. I knew the scratch on the surface where he'd dropped his phone. More proof. Weeks passed. I kept gathering data, building a meticulous digital file. Screenshots. Metadata. Timeline of activity. Every post he made, every careless detail he dropped. But I knew I couldn't do this alone. I needed someone who could turn all this raw evidence into a case the law would take seriously. So I reached out to a contact I found through an online support group for revenge porn survivors. A guy who went by Marcus. Ex-military. Digital security expert. Had helped take down more than a few predators. When I showed him what I had, he didn't hesitate. "We can nail this bastard," Marcus said. And just like that, the real hunt began. Marcus was not what I expected. I pictured some grizzled hacker in a hoodie, the kind of guy who lived in a dark basement surrounded by flickering monitors. But when I met him, through a secure video chat, of course, he looked like someone's laid-back uncle. T-shirt, ball cap, calm eyes. The only thing that gave him away was how precise he was. Every word mattered. Every movement was deliberate. "You've already done the hardest part," he told me after I dumped my folder of evidence on him. Screenshots, timelines, post archives, every shred I'd gathered over the past month. "Now we make it actionable." We spent hours going through it all. Marcus taught me more about digital forensics in 1 week than I'd learned in my entire life. "Here's what people like your ex always screw up," he said. "They think VPNs make them invisible. They don't. They leak metadata. They reuse patterns. And worst of all, they're arrogant." Josh, Iron Fist 82, was a case study in arrogance. For starters, he posted constantly. That meant lots of timestamps to work with. He always posted late at night, in bursts that aligned perfectly with his known work schedule. Marcus ran them through a correlation analysis. Boom, pattern established. Then there were the photos. The living room reflection. The desk. The monitor shot. "This is gold," Marcus said. Most guys would kill to have this kind of physical link between an alias and a real-world location. He gave it to us on a silver platter. Marcus also knew tricks for uncovering hidden connections. We ran style analysis on Iron Fist 82's writing and compared it to some old messages Josh had sent me. The match was nearly perfect, down to his weird way of typing ellipses. Little things you don't even think about. But the crown jewel came from the VPN leak. Marcus had a tool, completely legal, by the way, that monitored certain kinds of data leaks in real time. One night, he pinged me with a message. He screwed up. We got an IP leak on one of his posts. And sure enough, there it was. A partial IP address that traced back to a known range used by Josh's internet provider. It wasn't definitive alone, but paired with everything else? Devastating. "This is enough to get a warrant," Marcus told me. "And once they have his devices, they'll find the rest." We compiled it all into a formal dossier. Screenshots of posts with matching timestamps. Photos with identifiable real-world objects. Writing style analysis. Metadata from images. IP leak evidence. Then Marcus connected me with a lawyer he trusted, someone experienced in cybercrime cases. We handed everything over. "Now we let the law do its job," Marcus said. I felt like I was holding my breath for days after that. But deep down, for the first time in weeks, I believed it. Josh wasn't bulletproof. Josh was sloppy. And Josh was about to get caught. By the time we turned the dossier over to the lawyer, I was running on fumes. I hadn't slept more than 4 straight hours in weeks. My apartment looked like a conspiracy bunker. Sticky notes, printed screenshots, timelines taped to the wall. Jess would stop by and practically force-feed me takeout, saying the same thing every time. "You're doing this. You're winning. But you've got to survive to see it through." Marcus's lawyer, Angela, was exactly who you want in your corner. No nonsense, sharp as a knife, and pissed on my behalf. "We've got him," she said after her first read-through of our file. "And once the Cybercrimes Task Force sees this, he'll be lucky if the only thing he loses is his freedom." That phrase stuck with me. Because I wanted more than just an arrest. I wanted everyone to see who he really was. Angela submitted the file directly to a special unit within the Austin PD that handles digital harassment and cyber stalking cases. Unlike my first encounter at the police station, this time they took it seriously because the file was bulletproof. "We'll open a full investigation," one of the detectives said. "But I can already tell you, this is strong." And then came the cherry on top. Turns out, Josh hadn't just targeted me. As the task force dug into his online activity, they uncovered other victims. Several women had been harassed through the same forum, using nearly identical tactics. Worse, some of them had already filed reports of their own, but none had enough evidence to move things forward. Until now. With your case leading the charge, Angela explained, they can stack multiple charges against him, across state lines. This isn't just local anymore. That was when I knew. This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was justice. For me. For the other women. For anyone this piece of shit had hurt. The days crawled by after that. The investigation was active, but I wasn't allowed to be involved beyond the initial handoff. I spent my time locking down my own online life with Marcus's help. Scrubbed my social media. Switched to encrypted messaging. Updated all passwords and added two-factor authentication. Paid a service to monitor for future leaks of my name or images. I also started applying to new jobs. Even though my boss had supported me, the company culture had shifted. Too many whispers, too much damage. I didn't want to fight uphill for respect anymore. Then, one rainy Wednesday morning, my phone rang. It was Angela. Her voice was calm but electric. They've issued the warrant. They're raiding his apartment today. I felt my knees go weak. Sat down right there on the kitchen floor. Are they going to tell him who tipped them off? I asked. No, she said. Your name won't come up until the trial. Right now, all he'll know is that he isn't nearly as untouchable as he thought. I sat there in the dim kitchen light, heart pounding, soaking in the moment. The prey had become the hunted, and the bastard had no idea what was coming. I didn't sleep at all that night. I kept picturing it over and over, Josh sitting at his grimy desk, grinning as he tormented strangers online, thinking he was invincible. Then the knock at the door. The flash of a badge. His smug face falling apart when the realization hit. When Angela called the next morning, I knew the moment had come. It's done, she said simply. They executed the warrant. Apartment searched, devices seized. He's been taken in for questioning. I just sat there for a second, processing those words. 3 months ago, this man had me crying on my kitchen floor, terrified of what he would do next. Now, he was in custody. I asked if they found anything. Angela chuckled, the first time I'd heard her sound genuinely pleased. Oh, plenty. Drives full of images, videos, messages. Metadata matches everything we already had. He kept a folder with your name on it, Amy. My stomach turned at that. But beneath the nausea was a stronger feeling, vindication. What's he being charged with? I asked. For starters, possession and distribution of intimate images without consent. Cyberstalking. Harassment across state lines because one of his other victims is out of California. And they're still going through the rest. It was surreal. I wanted to laugh, cry, scream, all at once. Jess came over the moment she heard. We opened a bottle of cheap champagne and sat on my couch in sweatpants, watching trash TV while the news slowly sank in. You did this, Jess said, raising her glass. You fought back. And you won. I wanted to believe it, but part of me was still waiting for the other shoe to drop. It dropped in the best way possible. The next day, the story broke, not the full gory details, but enough. Local man arrested on multiple cybercrime charges. My phone blew up. Friends, coworkers, even distant acquaintances reached out. And oh, how fast the narrative shifted. People who'd whispered about me in the office now sent me messages of support. Clients who had backed away started emailing again with apologies. Even Simon, my boss, called me personally. Amy, I owe you an apology. I should have done more to protect you. I told him I appreciated the sentiment, but I wasn't coming back. I'd already accepted an offer at a new firm, one with strict harassment policies and a healthier culture. As for Josh, he was denied bail. The judge saw the evidence, the pattern of behavior, and ruled him a danger to the community. He'd sit in jail while the legal wheels turned. And the kicker? The forum where he'd built his little empire went into meltdown. Admins scrambling. Users deleting posts. Accounts vanishing. Marcus and I had tipped off the hosting provider anonymously, and the site was suddenly under investigation too. The empire Josh built on humiliation was crumbling, brick by pathetic brick. I wasn't naive. I knew the legal process would be long. There might be appeals, delays, loopholes. But the important thing was this. I wasn't hiding anymore. The man who tried to destroy me was in a cell. His mask had been ripped off for the world to see. And for the first time in months, I slept soundly. The funny thing about surviving hell is that you come out the other side a different person. When I started this fight, I was scared. Humiliated. I doubted myself every step of the way. I kept asking, what if no one believes me? What if it's hopeless? What if I'm just making it worse? But now I look in the mirror and see someone else entirely. Josh sat in jail while the charges mounted. Angela kept me updated. The DA was pursuing the case aggressively, especially once the other victims added their statements. One of them reached out to me privately. "Thank you," she wrote. "I didn't think anyone would ever take this seriously until you fought." That message meant more to me than I can say. This wasn't just about me anymore. We'd taken down a predator, and maybe stopped him from hurting others in the future. Marcus helped me finish locking down my digital life. We wiped every trace of my old photos from public spaces. We set up alerts in case they resurfaced. I learned more about online security in 2 months than most people do in a lifetime. I also made peace with what had happened at my old job. I didn't go back, not because I was ashamed, but because I deserved better. The new firm welcomed me with open arms. No whispers. No judgment. Just respect for what I'd overcome. The forum? Gone. The hosting company pulled the plug after multiple legal notices. Last I heard, a few of the site's admins were under investigation too. As for Josh, well, poetic justice is real. When the story finally hit the local news with more details, once it was safe to share, his reputation was shredded. Turns out, he wasn't just some anonymous troll. He worked in IT at a mid-sized tech firm. They fired him the moment the charges became public. Friends distanced themselves. His own family released a statement condemning his actions. I watched it all unfold with a strange sense of detachment. Not glee. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about balance. The universe, for once, getting it right. I still have moments when it hits me how close I came to losing everything. But now, when I walk into a room, I don't feel that gnawing shame anymore. I feel power. Sometimes people tell me I should have let it go. That I stooped to his level by infiltrating the forum. They don't get it. When someone tries to strip you of your dignity, your safety, your very identity, fighting back isn't stooping, it's survival. I didn't stoop. I rose. I fought back. And I won. So, if you're out there reading this, if someone's trying to break you, remember this. You are not helpless. You are not alone. And sometimes, the best revenge is living with your head high while they rot in the hole they dug for themselves.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Her Name Was Revenge. Write in comments what you think about the story. See you tomorrow.